It's good to see everyone this morning. We're thrilled to have the opportunity from the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Farm Service Agency come to Eastern Kentucky, and specifically to come to Pike County, and really appreciate our community leaders coming out and being a part of this. For me, and I was telling our city manager, I said I won't take more than 3 or 4 hours this morning. I'm actually from here. I grew up in this part of the country, so this is coming home to me. I spent my boyhood years in Pike and Floyd County, and it's been fun for me. I had an opportunity to take a few of our folks yesterday evening after we got through with our meeting and show them things like where Watson's used to be and the Pinson Hotel, and when US 23 and US 119 were actually 2-lane highways. And it's amazing to look and see the development. Much Governor Patton attributed to you and your leadership and the great leadership of the community and the community leaders here. And Governor Patton, we certainly appreciate you from USDA and helping us coordinate and getting folks together, and once again your leadership for the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and even more so the great things you all have done here with Pike since your years in Frankfort. What I'd like to do is David Duncan is a farmer from Garrett County, retired IBM official and full-time farmer now, and David is the chair of our Kentucky FSA State Committee, and I'd like to allow David an opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you. On behalf of the committee, we appreciate you hosting this meeting for us. And like I say, I'm from a little place called Paint Lick in Garrett County. And I'd like for the other committee to introduce themselves and tell them what part of farming they are involved in.
I'm Lee Roby. I'm a farmer from Logan County. It's a family farm. My wife and I have 3 sons, 8 grandchildren. There's 17 of my immediate family on a farm. The farm was founded in 1899 by my great-grandfather, and we're in the dairy, grain, and tobacco business.
Hello, my name is James Kay, and I'm from Woodford County, and I have a beef cattle cow and calf program there. And I live in Versailles, which is halfway between Lexington and Frankfort, for anybody that doesn't know. So that's pretty much.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Devine. I'm from Union County, and for many of you, you probably never traveled there because it's on the other side of Kentucky. I am a 7th-generation farmer. My family has a row crop and beef cattle operation, as well as I married a farmer who also came from a row crop and beef cattle operation.
Good morning. My name is Joe Spalding. I'm from Marion County, Kentucky, and that is the central part of the state, so I'm halfway between Cary and here. Really glad to be here. I'm a 4th-generation farmer. The farm I live on was my great-grandfather bought it in 1889. I was a dairy farmer most of my life, and I tell people I got out of jail about 12 years ago and got into the beef, and we were still raising tobacco and corn and soybeans. But I'm certainly glad to be here.
Additionally, I forgot to tell you, we're one of the only counties that still have the tobacco cutting contest. So if you see it advertised, you ought to come over and you'll enjoy it.
Governor Patton wanted me to take just a moment and tell specifically what we do more so in the Farm Service Agency. And Judge Deskins, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. His son David was my football coach in grade school, and I haven't seen the judge in many years. But the Farm Service Agency, any commodity conservation or disaster assistance payments that come to farmers in Kentucky come through our agency. A big part of our agency is disaster assistance. Especially you know well in this part of the country, things like flooding, storms, tornadoes, drought, and other natural disasters. We're able to step in and support and help our farmers with disaster assistance, and that has been a huge priority of Governor, your former colleague from Iowa, and our secretary, Tom Vilsack. And that's been a big role. Just since 2009, since I've been the state executive director, we faced ice storms, flooding, drought, tornadoes, flooding, drought, tornadoes, and such. Another huge part of our program, and I think that can play into this area, and Amanda will talk about it here a little bit in a few minutes. And as well, we have Mike Hoyt that's over our state farm loan program. Is we have a program for farm loans and farm credit for our producers across the state. We do farm operating loans, and we do farm purchase loans, and we do both what we call direct and guaranteed loans. The direct loans loan directly to the farmer through the federal government. Our guaranteed loans are loans where we go in and guarantee our commercial lending partners, the commercial bankers, up to 90% on the loans. And we've continued over the last 7+ years to grow our program. Last year we did a combined $164 million in new loans, and we've grown the program by over $40 million a year in new loans. And a huge part that I see coming more, Chris Cantrell out of West Liberty is our head farm loan person in this part of the state, but our microloan program, where we can do loans for our smaller producers up to $50,000. And I see that with a lot of potential in the area. Governor, would you all like at this point, do you want to go around and let everyone introduce themselves, or what would you like to?
Let's do that as we get through the program.
Okay.
I don't think it would take too long.
Okay.
As the people get up.
Okay.
It's going to be informal.
Okay.
But we go to the mayor and then the judge next.
Okay.
See whatever you want.
All right. And thank you all very much for, once again, for coming out and participating with us.
Pick up a microphone there.
Thank you, Governor. On behalf of the city of Pikeville, we want to welcome everybody here. It's pretty exciting. You got Joyce and here who has got us all talking agriculture, which we've never talked that language in this part of the country much. But it's a pleasure to have you all here today. And it's just the beginning, hopefully, of some things that we can diversify ourselves. The city and the county itself is working diligently to get out of the bad situation that the coal has put us in, and this is just another step that we can go there. So welcome, and hope you enjoy your stay here in Pikeville. Thanks.
What's your name, Bill?
Oh, I'm County Judge Executive William M. Deskins. This is my second term as judge, and I was sheriff in 74 to 77, then 82 through 85. And I want to welcome everybody here to Pike County. I was born and raised here, and I enjoy this county, and I just like to do that. I was born and raised on Johns Creek, a hillbilly, and then I joined the Hillbilly Club in 77, and we have here every April. And I've enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed my work, and I really enjoy doing what I'm doing. I was in heavy construction for about 29 years. Then I got in the coal business for about 25 years, and it's kind of slowed down here now. And anyway, we have a little trouble meeting our budget, so we have to do what we have to do, cut things down and whatnot. We had to raise a penny tax, occupational tax. So, but anyway, I want to welcome everybody here to Pike County, and any way that I can be of any help to any of you, just stop by. Thank you very much.
I have to talk about the system, or are they gonna do the presentation? I just wanna make sure.
Oh, that's right, that's right. You're gonna do your presentation first?
Yep. Amanda, Sue, or Suzanne, which one of y'all going first? Amanda Robertson is our Kentucky, Tennessee, New and Beginning Farmer Coordinator for the Farm Service Agency. She is a 6th generation registered Angus operation out of Russell County. When she's not working full time with us, she's home on the weekends. working that operation, but been with the agency, has been an intern, part-time, program technician, farm loan officer trainee, and farm loan officer, and now in the outreach position. And she will be one of the point people from our agency that from henceforth will be working with you all in this agency. So,
Thank you.
it's yours.
I've got a mic here. Thank you, John, and it is good to be here this morning. It's my first time to Pike County, so I'm excited to be here and join you all. So I just going to give you all a brief update on what we are doing. It is a huge priority of U.S. Department of Agriculture and Tom Vilsack in supporting our new and beginning farmers, getting people involved in agriculture, because we do see, that the average age of our farmer is growing, and we've got a lot of things evolving, a lot of neat things coming about in the agricultural field. So there definitely is a place for new and beginning farmers. So what we're trying to do is to increase beginning farmer participation in all of our USDA programs. And USDA has developed new tools and provide flexibility for our farmers to participate in our programs, because traditionally here in Kentucky we think about farming and we think tobacco, corn, soybeans, beef cattle, dairy. Well, as we think about our next generation of farmers, their face is changing. Whereas we're getting more involved in our farmers market, fruits and vegetables, and things like that. So USDA is tailoring their programs to meet the needs of these people who are just interested in entering into the field of agriculture. So here's just some of our goals nationwide. We're hoping to increase investments in the beginning farmer and rancher programs by $5.6 billion and increasing participation by 6.6% overall. And we hope here in Pike County to get folks involved and increase agriculture and let them know just exactly what USDA can do for them. Our focus is not to go out and just increase participation to increase our numbers and benefit us at USDA. We don't want to set anybody up for failure. So we want to make sure that, the people that we get involved with are, truly good participants and they have an interest. And so we're hoping to make life easier for them and help them be successful. So we really do a lot of outreach. And what USDA, we help them to access capital, acquire land, and develop sustainable operations by fully utilizing USDA programs. As John mentioned, I think our open door for beginning farmers is through our farm loan program, because the biggest barrier that beginning farmers face is financing. Commercial lenders may not be able to help our farmers, whereas if they come to the Farm Service Agency, we've got the flexibility to help them. And our requirements on how they meet our eligibility may not be as strong requirements as for a commercial lender. So we've got a lot of good things going on, and that's where our microloan program comes into play. So as we talk about a new and beginning farmer, we may ask, what exactly is that? We are using the definition of anyone who has not operated a farm for more than 10 years. Now, our other agencies may have a different definition. As we're going to talk about the Natural Resource Conservation Service, they have a different definition. But since the Farm Service Agency is the lead agency for this initiative, we are sticking with anyone who has not operated a farm more than 10 years. Or it could be someone who has owned a farm for 20 years, but they have never brought their deed into the Farm Service Agency, because that is the first step in becoming active within USDA, within our programs, is you have to bring your deed into the office, establish a farm serial number, and that enables folks to participate then in our programs. So if they're completely new to USDA, we're calling them a new farmer. Now, when we talk about our farm ownership loan program, there's a second part to that definition, which that kind of, we take into consideration what the average acreage of the county is. So the individual, they have to have not operated a farm for more than 10 years, and they cannot own more than 30% of the average acreage in the county where the property is located. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. So how is USDA currently supporting our beginning farmers? Of course, we're looking at modern and flexible customer service. We have something called FSA Farm Plus, and as we move forward, technology is something that everybody's becoming familiar with, and especially our younger farmers, those who are just taking an interest in agriculture. They like to have everything at their fingertips, whether it's through their iPhone, iPad, whatever. They like to conduct business that way. But you're still more than welcome to go to your office. But here in Pike County, if West Liberty is the service center, it may be convenient for you to be able to do some things online if it's hard for you to travel the distance. So we are moving in that direction to help accommodate our farmers. We've got several websites. One of those is usda.gov/new farmers. This is something I really direct our new farmers to because it enables them to tailor it to meet their needs. If they're a new farmer, a young farmer, a female, a veteran, if they're looking at land in transition, land changing hands, then it provides resources for them. And then one of our great partners is the University of Minnesota, and they developed the website of farmanswers.org. So there's a lot of helpful information out there and resources for our folks where they can get a lot of information. So the Farm Service Agency, we equitably serve all farmers, ranchers, and agricultural partners through the delivery of effective and efficient agricultural crops, which John touched on this earlier. We have the farm programs and the farm loan programs. Disaster assistance, that's something that I think you all could utilize very much here in this county. As you talk about flooding, we help folks, it helps with debris cleanup, it helps with, restoration of fences, if your fence gets washed out, things like that. We talk about ice storm, tornadoes, different options there in helping farmers recover from their losses. So we also do the commodity and conservation programs. And then farm loan, of course, as we've already spoke about that. So what we try to do, what we're looking at is developing a one-stop shop for USDA in the field. And what I mean by this is packaging things together. So, the biggest complaint I hear from beginning farmers is we talk about all of our agencies, but they spend a lot of time going here and there, going to FSA, going to NRCS, maybe visiting rural development, ag marketing service, things like that. So we're trying to work towards combining things so they have it in one package and they're not running here and there. It's just very accessible to them. So one thing that we're doing at FSA, if it's a new farmer getting a loan, we're now able to package what we call our non-insured crop disaster assistance program insurance with them, which we have a lot of incentives for our beginning farmers. In this case, for NAP, the administrative fee of $250 per crop is waived. They are able to obtain that insurance for free. And that really comes into play as we talk about our fruit and vegetable growers. It would be a good idea for them to purchase the NAP insurance. So at FSA, they're able to get that for free. And here you can see that FSA has a lot to offer. And we really touch a farmer from the time they start until they begin. We give them money to purchase the land and get their crops in the ground through the farm loan program. Then we have the reporting system, acreage or crop reporting, once they have that crop planted. Then we provide them with the NAP insurance. And NAP is for crops that you aren't able to get insurance at your regular insurance agencies. So we provide that assistance for them. And then if they've got the product when they harvest and they've got more than they can sell at one time, then we offer the farm storage facility loan program. And then there again, we talk about disaster programs. If you have something, the livestock indemnity program, we like to use a lot of acronyms. So that program is the LIP program. And then ECP is Emergency Conservation Program, which is where if you had a tornado, flooding, ice storm, it's covered under that program. And then at the end of the day, come have a seat at our table and let your voice be heard. We're entering county committee election time, and we're encouraging beginning farmers, veterans, females to get involved in the county committee and have a voice in that operation. So another agency that USDA has is the NASS, National Agriculture Statistics Service. So this is something, a very important agency to us. If any of you all are farmers, I'm sure you get a NASS packet and are asked to fill out questions. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming or maybe overbearing. You don't think it's important, but it definitely is important. And we encourage folks to participate in this because it helps us to better administer our programs at FSA and NRCS and all the USDA programs. So this year is a census year, and in 2012, the United States had 522,058 beginning farmers. So we see a decrease of 20% since 2007. The census is completed every 5 years. So that's a reason that this initiative was important. The Secretary deemed it important for us to go out, recruit new blood, and get folks, encourage their participation in agriculture. And there we see the 30-year trend is that the average age of the farmer is increasing. It's now 58.3 years old nationwide. Locally in our areas, I think it's about 68 years old. So we see that that's growing. So it's important that we have folks coming on who are able to carry on the farming and provide us with some food, fiber, and shelter. The Natural Resource Conservation Service is kind of the opening door for our beginning farmers. Conservation is something that's very important. And here in this area, you may need to work very closely with your NRCS folks and seeing what they have to offer, as our farmers get into, if they're, depending on what they're planning to do, there's a lot of options for them. Something that's becoming very popular is organic farming. A lot of younger folks, as we speak about our next generation of farming, local foods, healthy foods, organic is huge. It's growing. We may not think about it. I didn't really think about it that much until taking this position, and it's a very popular topic. So the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, EQIP, NRCS administers those. It helps with cross fencing if you're a cattle farmer, helps with waterers. They also have the High Tunnel program, which is something that the Secretary is very enthusiastic about. It helps to expand our growing season for our farmers and enables them to produce those fruits and vegetables in an efficient way. The Agricultural Marketing Service, this agency helps in creating marketing opportunities for our individuals. It helps with the farmers market and local food promotion programs and provides cost share programs for that organic certification, because there is a process to go through in becoming organic, and it takes about 3 years, and it can be rather cost intensive, but there is cost share available for that. Urban agriculture, this is something, as we don't think about here in rural Kentucky, especially in our rural areas, of something being popular. When I was in Washington, D.C. doing my training, I said, I can see myself going back to Kentucky talking about urban agriculture. They actually refer to it as hippie farming, growing things on rooftops. And as we were driving around last night and with the houses on the side of the mountains, I said, hey, they could do rooftop farming here. But, it may be something feasible or not, But it is something that's coming about, and it is becoming a trend. Know your farmer, know your food. A lot of folks, as I talked about, are big on local food. And what we talk about when we talk about local food is buy local. All steps in the supply chain for food take place within a specific region. All the processing requirements, your farmer's market, if they're requiring cold storage, co-op for local products, and processing facilities. All of it takes place in the local area, and the revenues generated, they go back to reinvest into the community. So it is a good thing, and it's something that, may be feasible here in this area. We have a risk management agency, which provides the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation. Private sector insurance companies, they actually sell and service those policies. But the USDA agency of RMA is in charge of all of that. So, and that, insurance is something that's very important to our farmers because there are a lot of risk involved. Rural development, it's committed to helping improve the economy and quality of life in rural America. It helps with the rural housing to purchase and build homes. So, if it's a beginning farmer or just someone, just in the rural area that's needing assistance in purchasing and building homes, rural development definitely assists in that process. We talk about grants. We have a lot of questions within USDA about grants. Value-added producer grants, these help, assist with the processing and marketing of bio-based value-added products, organics. That's value added. Anything to add value to the products. If you're growing berries, turning those into jam, tomatoes into ketchup, things like that. There are grants available for folks and assisting them with that. Rural Energy for America program, the REAP. This is something else administered through rural development. It helps with the renewable energy systems, provides funding for folks to be able to install those things in their operations. Business programs, it helps local, rural, small businesses get started. There's assistance for that, business and industry. This is actually a guaranteed program through rural development, but there is assistance available for that. And women in agriculture, as we know, women play a very important role in agriculture, so it's important that we embrace our females and allow them to have a place in agriculture as well. So with our veterans, we've got a USDA developed a website for our veterans, usda.gov/veterans. There you can find information about the preferences, priorities, and incentives for military veterans. We don't, in essence, have a specific veterans program, but veterans are, absolutely welcome to apply for any of our programs. But there are incentives, priorities, and preferences for them. So, at a time where, for example, if they're, have applied for a farm loan, if the, our budget's on a strain, our funding is, limited, then the veterans would get priority over someone else. A farmer who has farmed for 20 years, if it's a white male farmer, then that veteran would get funding over that farmer. So there are priorities and incentives for our veterans, and a lot of folks think as farming for our veterans as being therapeutic. As they transition out of service into civilian life, working with the land provides therapy for them. They're still being able, although they're not, in combat fighting for our freedom, they're still serving their community through growing, if it's fruits, vegetables, providing beef, through the livestock market, anything like that. They're still helping to provide to their community. So they had a mission to protect, now they have a mission to provide. And the Small Business Administration works with our veterans and provides the Veterans Business Outreach Center. It helps them with, they provide counseling, training, mentoring. They do have access to capital, contracting opportunities through those supply chains that we mentioned. They offer disaster relief and transition assistance as the veterans transition from service to civilian life. And they have several programs there that I have listed. So what can we do? I challenge our counties to reach out to counties where there is no USDA presence. For example, here in Pike County, you all don't have a USDA service center. So I think it's important, for the folks in West Liberty to get over here, to visit in the community and to tell what USDA can do and, recruit people to come and participate in the programs because they are there, they are available, and it's something just to help them as they, may want to get into the field of agriculture. So I encourage folks to build a strong relationship with our conservation districts because, usually there's a standalone conservation district in places where there may not be a USDA presence. So we can partner with those folks in doing some things. And then as we look at our cooperative extension, Chamber of Commerce, Farm Bureau, we look at traditional ag groups and non-traditional ag groups because it's something we can pull together. Everyone in our county can work together and hopefully, pull together and be a support group for each other and try to increase our participation that way. And as we visit with our young people, our FFA, 4-H groups, our universities, sororities, fraternities, just let young people know what agriculture can do and how USDA can help them because we have a huge gap between jobs in agriculture that are available and the young people who are on that track of going into agriculture. So we're also trying to narrow that gap as we move forward in this initiative. So that's all I have. I know it's been a quick overview, but if you all have any questions or anything, then please feel free to let us know. It's a lot of information. Does anyone have any questions for me? Thank you.
What we want to do now is have Suzanne Stumbo from Cooperative Extension at University of Kentucky come up. Suzanne and the university are a great partner of ours. We tap into both through agriculture, University of Kentucky and Kentucky State University throughout the year, especially in our rural areas. And Suzanne has been a tremendous partner for us here. And also, she and her sister Mary are old friends of mine from a few years back. So Suzanne, it's yours.
I'm old enough, when I started teaching, I taught VOAG. I didn't teach agri-science and technology, but I did when I quit. So I'm fairly adaptable. And I've got this to give you all a reminder of what we go over. Also to keep me on track, because I can get windy at times. And if you look at the bottom square, I like to start any training I do or any information out with something for people to think about. And I'll get you all, you're all featured on some of these. So when you look at this, would you believe 60% of our food in the United States is imported? And the shocker for me was learning that only 2% is inspected. So it makes us very vulnerable. Another tidbit I'm going to throw at you, 60% of the honey used in the United States is imported. They also have problems with it being watered down, having syrup in it, and a lot of other stuff. So we'll get into that in a minute. Main thing I want you to get and talk real quickly about is agriculture in Pike County. And I'm just throwing you some quick. One of our showcases here is our farmers market. I'm sure you know we're getting a new market. We've applied for some other grants coming up. And these are just some possibilities. These are more traditional fall. You flip over to the next page, and our farmers market has pretty well all the standard stuff that any farmers market would have. Look at the second one down. What we found in our farmers market is heirloom vegetables will bring about twice what our more common stuff would do. They go to the farmer's market, they see a white half-runner, which is one of our traditionals. They will argue and bring the price down and say that's too much and keep wanting to pay less. You tell them you've got a rattlesnake bean that originated over on Johns Creek, and you can get twice the price for it. So anytime you make a profit, it's good for the farmer. Okay? I'm used to working with the PowerPoint, but as I said, I'm flexible. If you'll flip over to the next, the very top, and Kathy, you will recognize these. This is the farm you're all going to visit tomorrow. And this is a few weeks ago when everything was nice and pretty. When we look at tomorrow's the group, it's throw out everything you think about traditional agriculture. Kathy's doing a lot of the new ways I've never done before, and I think they're a good answer for us. Everybody knows we have problems with our miners. We're lucky here in Pike County. 90% of our people own their own home, and most of them have a few acres with it. So what she's doing can easily be adapted to a lot of these other areas. If you look at the bottom, I really wish I had the slide. Kathy farmed all winter. We're lucky enough here, we have a climate that it can be done with low tunnels and high tunnel. She does a lot of low tunnels. We're working on it. What you can't see in the back of this slide is the front part is just little raised beds. This back part is all low tunnels. And one thing I'll let you know about Kathy, she raised vegetables just around the hill here for years on a slope in the middle of Pikeville and sold vegetables. She also raised bees here in the middle of Pikeville, something you don't think about. And ducks. So, and they're in here, so. If you flip on over, traditionally we think of cabbages and a lot of these cold crops coming from New England. We can grow them here just as well as they can in New England. And one of the things I push real hard is bio-intensive farming. And as I said, throw out everything you grew up knowing about farming. It's a little more intensive system of gardening. They have people in Maine and people in Canada taking in about $165,000 on an acre and a half. Now we have a better climate than either place. So it's one of the things I'm pushing here because I think it's one of our possibilities. Also, Kathy has shown the variety. If you look at that, wouldn't you like to eat that? And even if you were in the fanciest city restaurant in New York or Lexington or Louisville, and flip on over to the next one. And I told them to sing me down if I went over about 10 minutes. So, one thing we've proven is you can grow flowers. And you can do this, and we're working toward making dried flowers, permanent arrangements for year-round. And you'll flip over to the next page, page 7 at the top. Is this as nice as anything you would see in New York? We have chefs here very capable of doing this. Was it last year or year before last? We hosted the pre-conference tour for the National Beekeepers Association. They came here and Matt did a whole menu based on honey. Appetizer, meal, dessert, and everything. We have the possibilities here, and they can be duplicated anywhere in eastern Kentucky. And then I've got the Kathy's ducks there, and I did download these some from her blog, Four Petal Farm and Mother of a Hubbard. And but we have possibilities. I've got a bunch of people starting with pasture poultry. I figure you've heard about it lately. And one thing I really like about working with this group of people, and you all work with NRCS, will appreciate it. These people take care of their land. If you like, when Kathy doesn't have a crop on it, she's got some green manure crop on it. This is clover. I run by your house yesterday to make sure I can find it. Because Kathy moved out in the county. That's what you're going to do tomorrow down and cross the line. She is really conscious about using green manure crops and cover crops on hers. And you'll see what has a lot of potential down there. And the one at the bottom, part of our things we need to do is educate, not just our consumers. Everybody we're working with, this is new stuff for them, so they're learning a lot of new things. If you'll flip over on the back, and I will apologize, this is one of 2 slides that aren't here from here in Pike County or Floyd County. This was taken in Perry County. And the 2 trips we're going to do this afternoon are on beef cattle operations. One is a minimalist, just basically cattle on a strip mine. The other one is really well done. It's got the scales and the working pins and everything, so you'll see that. And if you look at the one on beekeeping, I have a really nice beekeepers group. We have, I think at present, 57 members in our Beekeepers Association. And if you look, I like to point this out. 400 million pounds of honey was used in the United States last year. 250 million was imported. So it is a possibility for us. Beekeeping is not as easy as it used to be, but it is definitely a possibility. And with all the problems we're having, they're wanting a lot of people encouraging to get into queen breeding. And these queen breeders make nice money. They've even developed a few that work with the mites and stuff and killing them, so they're trying to breed them. If you look at another thing I push is native herbs. I do a workshop on ginseng every year and a lot of the native herbs because they have possibilities. Down at the bottom, another thing here is the shiitakes. They have a great use for our lumber. And the catch to that is it has to be live standing lumber when you start with it and you produce shiitakes. We're going to try some other mushrooms this fall. And if you flip over toward the back, I have 3 people right now who have started on the aquaponics. And this is just a picture of a system we did for training over just across the line. Is that Virginia or West Virginia? West Virginia. And this is it, and there's a lot of new methods of doing it, but it has possibilities for here. And I always like to end something on a good high note. And it looks a lot better on the screen. Make somebody smile today. But so we'll have questions, and in the tours this afternoon and the tour tomorrow morning, we can any questions, just get, and you get me started, and sometimes I go on and on. Most of the time I try to keep it short and sweet. So we'll open back it up to you.
Something we certainly want to do, and the main reason we are here, Governor Pat and I talked about, is we want to hear from you all and what you're doing. Great to hear some things from Suzanne. So now we want to turn it over to our friends from Pike County and allow you all an opportunity to share your concerns and your interest, and hopefully where we can come in and be a partner with you all.
Well, again, welcome. I'm Donovan Blackburn. I'm the Pikeville City Manager. We're certainly glad to have all of you here today. I was asked to give a brief spiel in regard to what the city's doing with our partnership with the Farmers Market and with the new initiative that we've just recently broke ground on and launched. USDA, first of all, I'll say this, is no stranger to the area, though that we don't have the presence in the agriculture component, that as we develop numerous projects, we are certainly we experienced from the standpoint of applying for rural development USDA grants. So we're really excited, or I was at least, from the standpoint of listening to some of the things that were up here today. Because from our standpoint, as the mayor said earlier, agriculture is not really something that has been on our lips from a governmental standpoint at looking at ways to diversify our economy. And we've looked at what we're doing through downtown and through the city and working with the county. Certainly we have really focused on ways to bring industry and shopping and entertainment, and I could go on and on. And for the most part, for the last 12 years, I think we've done a pretty good job at that, at least with what resources we've had to work with. Unfortunately, in the downturn of the economy due to the coal production and what's happened with that economy, we have looked for ways to try to look at other options for diversification and utilizing some of our main traffic flow areas in order to do so. What happened, simply put, is over the last several years, I was, as the mayor said, I was approached by a force to be reckoned with by the name of Joyce Pinson. And Joyce, and also working with the Extension Office, and Suzanne and her group has done an absolutely amazing job over the past several years looking regionally at bringing in all these farmers into downtown Pikeville in order to provide produce options, along with it's grown into some other opportunities as well. So over the past couple of years, as I said, the force that I've dealt with is trying to look for ways to provide an area for the farmers market to expand, and so that we can get more in depth into agriculture. I grew up in Pikeville, had the opportunity with my career before this, where I moved to the central part of the state with my previous career with Lowe's. Glasgow, Kentucky was one of my hometowns, and actually one of the first times that I actually, since a kid, had the opportunity of getting to the soil and growing my own produce. So coming back home, my wife comes from a very large family, and my father-in-law introduced me to how to plant, and I shouldn't really tell this story, but I had the opportunity to go into Glasgow and walking into a feed store and was looking for potato seeds. So I unfortunately didn't find any. I realized that, so I was learning even back then. So when we get into agriculture and what that means, I think for the region, there's a couple of different layers I see it benefiting. One is also our relationship with Alltech. John and I were talking beforehand. Behind us is a new distillery, brewery that they're building. But I've had the opportunity over the last couple of years of having numerous meetings with Dr. Lyons and Deidre, and talking about how they see investments in Eastern Kentucky with agriculture. So it's been an eye-opening experience from an educational standpoint to me as well, and certainly see the benefit and what it can do for our community. And then I go back to the force of being reckoned with. We have, because of the downtown growth, because of the wanting to keep things local and really in a downtown connected area, tried to find land for the past several years. But when you look at our topography, unfortunately, only 12 to 14% of it is flat and suitable for development. And when you try to find some of that suitable development within an area to where there's traffic flow and infrastructure, it's almost impossible. So we looked at a couple of different options downtown, went to the mayor and to the city commission, and we talked about what agriculture means to our community and how we can continue to diversify with our relationship, not only with the farmers market and the extension office, but also with Alltech. So we had the opportunity, we had a piece of property located by the Pikeville Independent School System. It's a very valuable piece of property. It's located right off of US 23. It's a large tract of property. It used to be where the OWLSI radio station used to be, so if we're reminiscing, talking about older times. So that property was originally where we're looking at doing some expansion to the sportsplex. But as we looked at not only the farmers market, and they had outgrown their space, but also when we look at a lot of the farmers locally on the side of the road off of US 23, unsafe conditions, and trying to consolidate that into one area and really promote agriculture is extremely important to us. So through the partnership of Joyce and Charlie and JR and Suzanne and several others, we were able to apply for a grant. There was 2 counties in the state of Kentucky that have not received tobacco settlement money, and Pike County being one of them. So I'm glad that the state was able to check that off their list now with a $150,000 grant to the city for the construction of the new farmers market. And in the ag commissioner's words, it's going to be probably the nicest farmers market in the state of Kentucky. From the standpoint of size and from expansion, we're really excited. And we're entering into phase 1 right now with hopefully by the end of the year with some other commitments going into phase 2. So we're real excited about the possibilities. But I lost my train of thought when I started talking about the size. The other piece of this is that with USDA, we also have a couple of other grants that we're applying for. One is to market the farmers market. One thing is build it and they'll come. So we're taking something that's been there for years and trying to move it down. Again, great proximity because it's right off of US 23, as I mentioned. You have about 27,000 cars a day that travels that segment of the road, so it's extremely important for traffic. When you get down to Lowe's and area, you got about 38,000 cars a day, so you get a little bit of fall off, but it's only within a couple of miles of Lowe's and Walmart, the intersection. So again, location is extremely important. The size of the facility is extremely important. It's a pavilion style, very upper class built, so it's got some eye appeal, some curb appeal. We want really to make a great impression. So it's we're proud or happy to get into that. But the other piece of it is, as I said, from a marketing standpoint, is that Joyce came to us once again, looking at a grant opportunity in order to make sure that we can get the word out, put some signage up, and really put it in front of our region. And then the other side of this is we have some other plans, some things that I have talked to them, the same groups about, some things that I've talked to the commission about. The next phase is that we've got a grant also out to look at a community kitchen because obviously for those of you that are in this business, and I'm learning as I go, obviously the dummy that thinks you can plant potato seeds, is trying to find cash, not just from the commission and those type of investments, but looking at ways to create other options for the farmers to come over. So they can't just bring their goods to market and not just being able to sell at the farmers market and at fairs and such. So the opportunity in working with other infrastructure where we own, the East Kentucky Expo Center already has a kitchen and upgrading that facility with a dock. So there's some other opportunities to do that as well. So we're excited that we too have planted the ideals that the local agriculture folks have came forward with. And at our groundbreaking last week, I'll also say that I was, for the first time, Kathy, I was able to try a duck egg. So that I got pulled into that as well. So and it very, very, very tasty, very surprised. So excited about all the other opportunities, really looking forward to the discussion and how that we, the city and the county can work together and try to make sure that we're promoting and doing the right things to bring in. And certainly appreciate our partnership with USDA, rural development on other projects, and looking forward to what we're able to do into the future. So again, welcome, thank you, and we're ready to grow. No pun intended.
Well, let's go to Kathy a little bit and talk about what you've done, okay? We'll try to get to everybody here before the 10:30.
Well, thank you all for being here. As Suzanne mentioned, I started out farming as an urban farmer or hippie farmer here in Pikeville on less than 1/10 of an acre, but I could pull in, about a ton of produce off of that, more like 6/100ths of an acre. And started a winter CSA there. That's kind of our niche market. It initially was winter growing, and something that I speak about on a regional level at conferences in Ohio and in the state as well. Last April, we've been there a year now, we bought a farm in just over the county line in Floyd County. So now we've expanded our production greatly to now we have about 1.25 acres in vegetable and cover crops. But in addition to that, we raise ducks, and we have a wholesale egg license so that we can sell eggs to people like Matt at the Blue Raven and Sliced by the Blue Raven and other markets as well. We also have a surprisingly good microgreen business. You would not think here in eastern Kentucky that there would be a demand for microgreens and edible flowers, but I take out a delivery at least once a week. Just this morning before this meeting, I was delivering to a group from Knott County for a big 160-person dinner. But microgreens are little things smaller than a baby green that go from seed to harvest in anywhere from a week to 2 weeks, depending on what the crop is, radishes. We also do shoots, sunflower shoots, pea shoots, and things like that, which you can get also here in town at one of Matt's restaurants. So we are a little bit different than what you might think about traditional agriculture being. So we do vegetables, we do microgreens, we do duck eggs, but in addition to that, we have a line of cereals and shrubs that are based on Appalachian botanicals. Our farm's 54 acres. You'll see, for those of you coming out tomorrow, it's in a holler up Acres Branch, and the sun in the winter hits the garden about 12:30 and goes down about 3:30, just kind of like that song. In summer, we get a little bit more light on that piece of ground, but most of what we've got is wooded mountain. And so we take advantage of that. Rather than trying to fight that, we're trying to build our business on that. Because I'm a native of Appalachian, I believe in the power of the potential of what we've got in our native flora and fauna here. So we have commercially bottled, as of last year, an elderflower syrup, and we've got more that we're actually going to be applying for one of these value-added producer grants. We're also unique in that we are actually transitioning this farm to certified organic. And so I actually took a moment to write down some things that were specific to UFSA folks that, as a beginning farmer, because I do have less than 10 years of experience, less than 3 years of experience, some things that would be helpful for us. Number one is education about programs and what you all do. So for instance, I'm transitioning our farm to organic, but I only recently learned that I could apply for a CAP 138 and I could get assistance for developing a plan. I could hire someone to come out to my farm. You all would help reimburse me for that plan to get advising for, okay, well, exactly how am I going to transition this farm to organic? Because even though I think I'm a fairly smart person, that's a lot of stuff to have to navigate on my own. The organic standards are really high and really complex. And so education about those kinds of programs. I was excited to learn about REAP. I'd never heard about REAP. We just invested a lot of money in solar energy panels for some fencing equipment for our ducks and for our deer fencing around our market garden. And now I'm wondering, gee, could I had a little money to help take the bite out of that, going the renewable energy route, and we have more plans for what we want to do with that. So education being a big one, an easy, well, not so easy all the time to do. Another thing is with NAP. We have a great farm service agency based there in West Liberty, and they've been incredibly helpful to me. And one of the individuals there was very heavy about recruiting me into NAP because I understood that I could get that insurance for free, and that sounded great. But we're a small, diversified farm. We have 1.25 acres. So when we started talking about insurance for my crop of sweet potatoes, which I do a block, I put out about 1,000 plants of sweet potatoes, a 2,500 square foot block. All of that paperwork for doing, a 2,500 square foot block of sweet potatoes, I'd just rather take my chances of losing that than having to sit and keep up with all that paperwork. And so because a lot of that paperwork was in terms of acres. And we do have a lot of small farms, not just here in eastern Kentucky, but across the nation and Canada. They're small, diversified farms. And I know many farmers, because I am active on a national scene as well, many farmers that have started out at 20 acres and they are wanting to downsize to 5 or 6 because actually you can be more profitable at 5 or 6 acres sometimes than you can at 20. So looking at those types of things with NAP. Another thing is, and this comes from my experience in an urban setting, and that's with high tunnels. One reason I've become so big in developing low tunnels and speak on it at a regional level is because as being an urban farmer without the possibility of getting a farm number, I was not eligible for one of the High Tunnel Initiative grants. And I can tell you from my experience at some conferences this year, this has come up over and over and over again from some folks in Louisville and in Lexington and I imagine here in Pikeville as well, is we've got to kind of think about how can we increase access to some of the FSA programs if you live in an urban setting and you aren't eligible for a farm number. So that's just something I'd like to put out there for you. Another is just thinking about broadening our mind about what is agriculture. Like I mentioned, probably many of you, I know we've got many beef cattle people in here, or tobacco. Probably you weren't expecting to hear somebody talking about microgreens today, or simple syrups based on Appalachian botanicals. So when I applied for our Farm Service Agency number this year, and I was sent a map back of our farm, we've got 54 acres, but on that outline for my farm tract, it was just outlined what was flat bottom land. And I thought, wow, I've got this much bigger farm than what is outlined here on this flat bottom land. I think we need to expand our mind a little bit, thinking about, these mountainous hillsides here as well, historically, have been important to agriculture here, because people had to make do with what they had. But then also from the perspective of ginseng, shiitakes, other products that are based on forestry products, that is agriculture too. Another thing is with FSMA, Food Safety and Modernization Act. All farmers in here just breathed the collective sigh, for those of you that didn't hear that. But with Food Safety and Modernization Act, the burden, the demands that is placing on not just big farmers, but us small farmers is considerable. And we are going to need a lot of help in navigating that. And it's been very much a challenge trying to navigate that on our own when even individuals at the state level don't understand exactly where things are going to go with Food Safety and Modernization Act and how I need to safely handle my produce to get it to individuals. I've been told, well, I can't really give you a clear answer on that until August when these new regulations come out. But I'll go ahead and tell you now that we already see that it's going to make huge demands on us. It's already changed a lot with what I do in the past, what I've done in the past 2 years. And that is the level of processing facilities that we're going to be expected to have on site, almost to the level of farms almost needing a commercial kitchen if they're going to be able to market their stuff, which every farm in this area having a commercial kitchen, let me tell you, it's just not, it's not going to happen. We need to have some kind of infrastructure, or we need to have some kind of leadership from some group that helps us in making this transition with Food Safety and Modernization Act, either with infrastructure, with your microloans programs. I think I've interpreted from that that's mainly storage, but if that's packaging as well, then we would like to know that. And then also for us to be able to gain access to markets. So I already sell to restaurants. I can sell to our local Pikeville independent schools, and I have done that. I cannot sell to our county schools. I cannot sell to UPike because I cannot afford a GAP audit. Our farm is GAP certified. We've gone through that training. But a GAP audit requires, tens of thousands of dollars to have someone come and inspect my farm. And at this point, we're beginning farmers. We can't make that plunge. We grow high quality, top-notch food, and it just pains me to see on the salad bar at UPike this imported stuff from Arizona and California when I know that I could be supplying that cafeteria with fresh salad mix and other things. But I will never be able to do that because at least in the short term, because I cannot afford a GAP audit. So some way to build that capacity, we've got to build capacity in agriculture here regionally. That is, the farmers market expansion is great, and I'm so excited about it, but it has to go beyond that. We've got to be able to provide our farmers with more market opportunities than just farmers market. They've got to have that access to opportunities in their local market. Food City, UPike, some restaurants may require a GAP audit. That's just, or some school systems, they vary on that. So Those are just some things that are on my mind while you're here, since I know you are here to find out how you can help. And those are, to me, the 5 greatest areas of need that we have right now.
Can I address that one thing? As far as the Farm Service Agency, as far as getting a farm serial number, I don't know what has previously happened yesterday. I'm sorry, thank you.
Sorry.
I'm not sure what has previously happened yesterday or weeks before, but what we asked for as far as trying to assist a producer who wants a farm serial number is the deed, and anyone who is on the deed, their social security number, mailing address, and we ask them to at least go by the PVA office to get a copy of the map. And we are way more than happy to accommodate you in any way we can, I promise you. And moving forward, if that's not been done for you, we will certainly address that.
So I may not have explained that clearly. So on my previous location in a city lot, an FSA number was problematic. Once I moved to the country, it was no issue. And the people at Louisville and Lexington who have expressed the most concern is where you do have groups that are an organization and they have land, but it's many people that are vested. There's no, or it even might be, the city's land and the city's letting them use it.
Right.
So that kind of complexity, okay, how can we get high tunnels for those folks? But I'll be straight up, the FSA folks at West Liberty have been nothing but incredibly helpful for me. And NRCS as well at Paintsville even came out to my house the day after I called and helped me fill out the High Tunnel Initiative application.
I'm sure.
And got the CAP 138 going.
But as far as the high tunnels, I've been here for 28 years, and years ago we used to have a bush hog. It was a definition of cropland was something you could bush hog, but it's no longer that anymore for us. And we see lots and lots of Perry County farms, Leslie County farms, Letcher County, Knott County farms that are a quarter acre or less that they want to put a high tunnel on, that we're assigning farm serial numbers to. And we're doing those because they are eligible for the high tunnels to improve the agricultural commodity that they have. And honestly, if you have a question or you need, if somebody has a 1/10 of an acre, if they can put a high tunnel on it, we're going to assign a farm serial number on it. If they have a backyard, it's almost to the point that we're assigning those farm serial numbers to those as well. And I want you to know that we're more than willing and able to accommodate those requests. There's no criteria, as far as I'm concerned, for a director. I'm the director of the Farm Service Agency, the Jackson Service Center, and also the West Liberty Service Center right now. But we're more than willing to accommodate your request and do those things that you need. We absolutely are. The high tunnel has been a priority area for our sister agency for the NRCS, and we are more than willing to accommodate them and any requests they've had. And we've had a young lady that's worked diligently in Leslie County, and Connie Sturgill is her name, and we have probably put more farm serial numbers in Leslie County than any other county in the state of Kentucky. I know that I did 10 this week for her, and she is putting high tunnels in every nook and cranny in Leslie County, honestly. But I just want you to know that we are more than willing to do anything that you ask us to do, or if it's not accommodating, if you just give us a call, and we'll do everything we can.
And I might add to what David has said. I think you're a great resource for us. And something that has come about is the need to be able to get farm numbers to our urban growers or our rooftop farmers. And that is a problem. So, we ask for everybody's help at Farm Service Agency and outside. If you've got an idea of how we can provide a farm number, because it is going to be hard in our, say, our Louisville areas. If you're in the city and you're growing fruits and vegetables on a rooftop, how do you establish that farm number? So that is something that has come about, and I guess today has been wonderful because I didn't realize that we were dealing with that, here already in the area. I had been brought to my attention, so it's good, but that is something that the new farmer team is looking at, and it is something that we are dealing with. So, if any of you folks, FSA, anybody, or you've got an idea of how we could, develop a reporting system to assist you all, then those ideas are definitely welcomed.
Since we've talked about high tunnels and low tunnels, and we're going to have a fairly large TV audience that'll be getting information from this, who wants to define a high tunnel and a low tunnel? Okay, Kathy, talk to us about that.
Yeah, so high tunnels and low tunnels are both temporary structures, and they are traditionally seen as season extenders that don't add any additional heat. So think of a greenhouse when you envision a high tunnel, but that greenhouse not being heated. Okay, so that's a high tunnel. And in addition to that, a greenhouse might have a concrete floor, but a high tunnel, you're growing crops in the ground. And so that's the main reason why high tunnels are a big part of this initiative with the NRCS and EQIP, in that it's going to protect soils from erosion and those types of things. Low tunnels are like high tunnels on a much smaller scale, rather than them being like, as tall as a greenhouse. Low tunnels they come up to about my hip at full height. So these are tunnels that are constructed over beds out in open fields, and my low tunnels rather are standardized to about 45 inches wide. So not quite 4 feet wide, and they're about 3 feet tall. And I cover them with a fabric row cover. You can use plastic, but I get by growing all winter long, even down to minus 16.
Are they more cool season crops or?
And they're for cool season crops. Yeah, you're not going to do tomatoes in winter, which you're not going to do it in high tunnels either. Yeah, but it's going to be cool season crops, salad greens, root crops, those types of things, mainly for overwintering things. But you can build low tunnels, you can cover the same amount of ground for about 1/10 of a cost of a high tunnel. And so that's another reason why we use those, because as a beginning farmer, it's a lot easier for me to put out, $500 to set up a 2,500 square foot area in low tunnels versus $5,000, $6,000 for that equivalent area in a high tunnel, which I understand they're quite a bit more than that now, and you can beef them up, but roughly a 1/10 of the cost. But the premise being that they're unheated, but you'd be surprised what can still grow in an unheated lower high tunnel.
Thank you, Kathy. And the Pinsons are pretty good farmers and leaders in the farm community. So, Joyce, Charlie, why don't you all talk us a little bit about what you're doing and the issues that you see?
My background is agriculture economics. Our farm is Friends Drift Inn Farm over on Johns Creek. Rather than talk to you about technical, Kathy is the head and I'm the heart. Eastern Kentucky has a long history of agriculture, a long history. We were at one time the epicenter of Kentucky. When we have our annual seed swap, which is in its 4th year, are you all familiar with what a seed swap is? It's where you bring heirloom vegetable seeds, seeds that have been passed down in these hollers for generations. When we have our heirloom vegetable seed swap, they're standing at the door. We run from 9 to 3. We pass 500 people through from 10 different states besides what we do locally. The interest in preserving Appalachian history and Appalachian heirlooms is high. When you look beyond, I'm a food writer. I write for farm to table food. When you look at the national trend, Appalachia is where it's at. If y'all don't know who Sean Brock is, you need to look him up. Sean Brock is a chef from originally from over the hill in Wise County. He is known internationally. He's a James Beard winner 18 Blue Billion times. He's always nominated. He set history with Husk Restaurant in South Carolina, Charleston. He will not let any produce come through the door that is not sourced locally. You look at what Sean Brock has done. You look at what they're doing at Blackberry Farm in Tennessee. Y'all, for me, it was a big joke because at Blackberry Farm, if you're not familiar with it, it's $1,000 a night resort, okay? You get off the bus. I was with the food riders. I get off the bus. They throw me out in a hayfield. There's a barn that you go to eat. A hayfield and a barn. I'm a farmer, and it didn't impress me much. But now the chefs, and that is what we've got to think about here, is because that we have this unique agriculture, the chefs just hound us. I literally have wrestled with James Beard award-winning chefs for Cushaw's. Cushaw's is very distinctive in our region. I can sell my produce here at the farmer's market, but not make near as much as what I can if I haul it to Louisville to the chefs that I know. The demand is here. When we have our farmer's market on a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, we've got 45 or 50 people hanging on our gate waiting for it to open. We cannot meet demand because the face of our market is young people. We don't know. I'm the old lady. I'm the old lady at 56 years old. We don't know how to produce enough to meet demand. We keep thinking, all right, we went from 4 vendors to 26 or 27, and we've all upped and upped and upped, and I mean, we're scrambling, and I mean, she puts the pressure on us because she wants to open in March, and we're not ready in April, and we've extended to November because that she's taught us how that we can do that. But young farmers, and that's something that I think is really important that you understand. We are not row croppers. We are not 7th generation farmers. We are new farmers, and we are trying to make a difference. We're facing coal decline. We're going from people that used to make $100,000 a year now making nothing. So farming, when you look at the face of Pike County and Pikeville agriculture, it's young people. It's young people that are committed to staying here. They don't want to go to the city. And there is the high potential for, with the national economy and what they want to do with Appalachia and it being in the spotlight, we have huge potential. When you think of UPS in Louisville, UPS they located in Louisville because they are within 500 miles of 80% of the population of the United States. Here in Pike County, we are within 600 miles of 80% of the United States. We can be an agriculture hub, but we just need some help. We need a lot of help. And having a background in agriculture, we've been dismissed a lot because we're small acreage, very small acreage, and they say it can't be done. When Kathy Raymar started farming on her little postage stamp farm, I laughed at her. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed at her. I said, "You're crazy, you can't do that." Well, she proved me wrong. And our other farmers are taking that initiative and learning from her. I mean, she set the bar. Food is important. This can be an agriculture destination tourism-wise. We have huge potential with our strip mines to do U-pickets. We have huge potential to do hay rides. There's just all kinds of opportunity if you think outside the box. And that's what I have to tell my government people. You've got to think outside the box. We farm on 12 acres. Most of it is winter crops. We do a lot of pumpkins. Pumpkins is my dream. I'd love to do a pumpkin patch. I would like to do value-added products. I am not interested in having a government person come into my kitchen and tell me it's dirty because I know it's dirty. You know, when you're doing what we do, it is not going to meet the standards that is required to do jams and jellies. We desperately need a commercial kitchen in Pikeville, Kentucky. It's too far to go to Jackson. What was funded in Floyd County was not appropriate for what we need in this area. I have more stoves in my kitchen than what they funded in Floyd County. Going to Jackson is an impossible. I mean, by the time, if I'm gonna pick okra all day long, I've gotta have a refrigerator truck, go 2 hours, and I gotta go down there and produce it, and then drive back. I'm only one person. And that's the way most of the farmers feel here. We're a little overwhelmed, so we need a lot of help. We're blessed. The city has had the vision. I know that they thought I was crazy at first, but they warmed up to it, and we're very blessed. We're very blessed that people will take this risk, and we ask you to take a risk with us. Thanks.
I would like to add a few things. You don't understand Eastern Kentucky. There's a love for the land here. My family's been in the county, since 1795. We were one of the first families to move to Pike County, and we're all over the place. I mean, there's thousands of us. People here don't want to leave. And the one thing that the people in this area have done, and you can see it, you'll see it when you drive out in the county tonight and tomorrow, is there's a family garden spot on almost every household. You know, that's the thing, that's the one thing that we can do here. The people in Eastern Kentucky can grow. They've been growing for generations. They can preserve. We're talking about value-added products. Almost every family, I guarantee anybody from here, everybody that's from Pike County, their parents, or at least their parents and maybe their grandparents, how many of them have put up food and saved it in the wintertime? I mean, everybody here. I mean, it's just a culture. It's something we know, and it's something we can do and spread around. Matt, I want to give Matt a shout over here. Matt is from here, he's a trained chef, has opened 2 restaurants. He's got a lot of acclaim for both of those. He's opened the Slice, which is his pizza restaurant, and the Blue Raven, which is an upscale dining restaurant. It's been recognized nationally. We've got an abundance, actually there's an abundance of chefs in Pikeville. People may not realize that there is probably 7 or 8 trained chefs that have gone to culinary school that actually live in Pikeville. I mean, most people wouldn't know that. And the chefs, all over the country, are looking for fresh, local vegetables. And the small-scale farmer like us, we have to adhere to the same rules and regulations as the big giant farms out in California that have, you know, many employees doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing in some instances. And we understand that regulation filters down, but you know, any of you that have been in business or been a farmer know that nobody loves it like the people that are actually own it and are invested in it. The paid employees have no idea what it's all about. It's all about the love and the heart. And that's what we're trying to bring to you from Eastern Kentucky, is that there is love of the land and of the people and what we produce here.
Well, thank you all. Now, I want JR to talk a little bit more about the actually operation of the farmers market, because if we've got to have a marketing process if it's going to be commercial. And then Matt, I want you to talk a little bit about the problems and opportunities to acquire farms. We have Kitty Baird, who I think I understand has been involved in some of the grant writing.
Very little. Yours.
And I think that would cut. And then I want Justin Prater to talk about a totally different concept that some of the people here at the university have been working on. So I think that's the overview of the program that's left. So JR?
Again, I'm J.R. Dameron. I'm from here in Pikeville. I've grown up, been here all my life. A couple of years ago, I started with the farmer's market as in my 20s, just grow a truckload of corn, bring it down and sell it, be here once, twice a year. That was all for me. I'll see y'all next year. Now with this crazy person, we have learned, along with this one, have learned to diversify our crops and our farming habits in Eastern Kentucky. 3 years ago, if you'd looked at me and said, I want a shiitake, I'd have said, who? Along with the university and the med school, and now with the optometry school coming to town, people have asked us as farmers to produce stuff we had no idea of even existed. So the farmers market is very diverse in what we offer in food product, and it keeps growing yearly. We started out, when I started 7, 8 years ago, there was 3, 4 of us, 2 anchor vendors at the time, and 2 hours, everybody was sold out and gone home. We've grown that market now from, we open at 9 on Saturday mornings, and we stay open to 1 o'clock, and usually we sell out around noon. Some of them still have product at 1. So the operation of the market keeps growing, and we have applied and received grants, and yes, we're moving into a new, wonderful state-of-the-art facility. We have now applied for a USDA promotional grant to show people a few different things about billboards to show them where we're at. We want to start a mobile market. We want to be able to go to different places. Geographically, Pike County is the largest county east of the Mississippi River in all the states and commonwealths combined. We're right at the size of Rhode Island. So we are a large geographic area. A lot of people over in the backside of the county, as we call it over here, they refer to us the same way. They don't always come over to market time. So if we could go to them every now and then, we would like to be able to do that. So with a promotional grant, that would be accessible to do that. We've grown up now to 20-some vendors. We're open 2 days a week, Saturdays, Tuesdays. Hopefully in a few years we can expand to a 3rd day a week. That was kind of in our little concepts of our brains up here. But we need more farmers. And when we say farmers, we don't mean that you have to have 50 acres. Because, honey, this is Pike County and Floyd County. If you've got a half an acre, you're flying. With the high tunnels and the low tunnels, raised bed gardening, it just blows my mind. Kathy called me last year to come down and help her with the new farm. And I went down and I was like, you're going to do what on this? Hey, it's made a believer out of it. There's just so much new stuff coming along, and agriculture is developing so much. And there's new ways of doing stuff that, you know, I grew up, my step-grandfather farmed here in the county. I grew up with atrazine, corn picker, and we thought we were doing it right. Nowadays, we don't have to have all the herbicide and pesticide that we used to use if you want to do it organically. But there's safer ways to do it if you do use herbicide and pesticide. And along with training and everything, it's still volatile for all of us to use. But think about this. The farmers here in eastern Kentucky, we want to grow. We need help. We need some training. We have displaced miners everywhere. We have more that's joined the market for this year. We also have a few veterans who can't find work in civilian life who are starting to farm now. So that's really starting to grow. So I thank y'all, and here's Mr. Matt.
Well, anyhow, let me say, you got to have farmers to grow it, and you got to have a marketing, but you got to have somebody to consume it. And I understand Matt has been very interested in utilizing fresh, homegrown vegetables. So, Matt, talk to us a little bit about the challenges and opportunities.
Hi, I'm Matt Corbin. I've got the Blue Raven, like everybody said. It's been open for about 4 years. We have a seasonal menu, so every 4 months I'm changing it. Just recently we opened Slice, which is a pizza place concept. We also do sandwiches and some salads. And it's really the first time I've tried. I mean, we've got a 4-petal farm menu item, so she's doing our salad mix. We also have a 4-petal farm pizza. It's the first time I've really committed to, like, this is what we've got, and I had to trust Kathy, you know, to get it to me all the time, because that's my biggest problem, is getting a supply of steady food all the time. You know, I'm a working chef, so I don't have a lot of time to run to the farmer's market all the time and deal with 13 different farmers to provide to me something. So, you know, I've worked with the Pensons and Kathy and another guy in Prestonsburg named Todd. I don't know I mean, I do an order from week to week, so it's hard for me to know how much we're going to be using one week to the next. And so it was a big struggle for me to even commit to Kathy in the first place, because, you know, once I put it on the menu, people walk in, they expect me to have it, and if she has something that comes up, you know, we've had a little arugula problem, but we're working around it. So that's just been the biggest challenge, is getting the supply. I mean, I know what I want to use, and you know, I don't care to label everything on the menu like locally grown. I would just rather buy everything locally grown. Whenever I can sub something out, I sub it out. You know, tomatoes, whatever's available at the time. In Eastern Kentucky, you know, people just grow the staples for the most part. And it's hard to put a menu together, you know, with the same old tomatoes, corn, potatoes, that kind of thing. And then just succession planning too, because a lot of people are, you know, they want to bring me, well, I just pulled everything out of my field. Here you go. You know, do you want to buy this? And, you know, I can't go through a ton of food all the time. I mean, we've had a real trouble with what do we do with when somebody brings me, you know, a couple bushels of corn. So we started freezing corn, and we do pickles, and we do things like that. But, you know, even that I have to put a shelf life on. I can't just keep that stuff indefinitely. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me, is trying to let them know how much I'm going to need, and for them to be able to provide it to me week to week, as opposed to the growing season is this amount of time, this is what we're going to have. And Kathy's been great about that too, because, I mean, she grows in the winter time. She brings me microgreens, which I love. I tried to grow myself, but it did not work out too well. So, I mean, I've been very fortunate to have her and Joyce and Charlie. You know, I want to serve people the best food possible. I don't want to give them, yes. Sorry.
Do you find that it enhances your business to have, you know, homegrown commodities, you know, like the microgreens or fresh tomatoes or green beans? Do you think that people say, okay, let's go down here to Charlie's, we're gonna, or Blue Raven, because he's gonna have a better variety of homegrown food? You know, it's
yeah, I mean, it's definitely part of it. I mean, for the most part, if she brings me some, let's say, salad mix, what we were doing is, you know, I would do a special, and I would put on it, this is from this farm, it's local, and they would sell. You know, it sells, like when we do things like that, it sells really well. But you know, I prefer for everybody just to assume that what I'm giving them is the best possible produce I can find. And I mean, to me, it's the best tasting too, and I want my food to be the best. So I would rather have local produce when I can buy it. And it's just not always available. And that's the really hard thing, to put a seasonal menu together in Eastern Kentucky. You know, it's coming along, but I mean, it could go a lot further.
well, you know, they have the farm to menu, where Kentucky products, where they, you know, they encourage you to purchase locally.
Yeah, we do the restaurant reward program through Kentucky Proud. There is money available. I've kind of given up on that a little bit, because it's a lot of my time to get the money back. So there was a time when I was buying beef and pork from a Kentucky farmer, and then it was worth it, because it was a lot of volume, it was a lot of money, and so it was worth my time to get that rebate money back. But I mean, just buying from them, you know, I'm happy to pay a little extra to make it profitable for them. And I mean, the Blue Raven is a little bit more upscale. I mean, you could say the pizza place, you know, we've tried to keep our costs to the customers relatively low, but I'm happy to pay that little extra money, you know, so it's viable for them, and I think my customers appreciate it.
I'd like to speak to his customers. the perception in Eastern Kentucky is that we're all poor and ignorant. When you come to our market, what you see is business people. You see people from the college. People come to us, he spoke about weird things. People come to us and bring us seeds and say, grow these bitter melons for me. We have a huge medical community, which is very diverse. The potential is huge, and yes, it makes a big difference. They want the local food, and yes, they want to know that it came from somebody they know. The farmers market, we adapted the motto, where friends gather. And that's what you have to understand is our farmers market is about this community. It is a community center, and the demand is there, and they will pay. When you look at the Center for Crop Diversity puts out a market list. Y'all are probably familiar with that, and they'll go through and they'll say this is what they're selling for in Lexington, this is what they're selling for down in Marion County, this is what they're selling in Logan County. This year you're going to see Pike County reporting, and I'll guarantee you that anything that they're selling in Lexington and Louisville, I'm going to be able to get that price on almost everything but half runner beans.
And there could be more, right?
No, I was pretty much, it's basically just a supply thing for me and having enough people to purchase from.
Okay, I learned a lot. I hope you all did too. I'm going to change the subject a little bit. Justin Prater is a graduate here of the University of Pikeville. Now, I'll let him give you the exact title he's got. But we're very proud of the product that they have developed, which has won competitions against the University of Kentucky and University of Louisville team. They've been invited internationally to one of the most prestigious graduate school competitions in the world in Canada. So, Justin, do a little bit of explaining about what you all have done. It is really remarkable, and we're very proud of it. So let me give you Justin Prater.
Well, sorry I lost my voice a couple of days ago before Governor Patton asked me to join. But I'm Justin Prater. I always like to say, you can say what city you're from, but if you're in Eastern Kentucky, you need to say what holler you're from. So I'm from Island Creek, if any of you guys know where that's at. I just earned my MBA here at UPike, actually last Saturday. I'm the Assistant Director of the Kentucky Innovation Network here in Pikeville. So we assist small businesses, and we try and develop a culture of entrepreneurship. And I also started RhizoFeed, the founder of RhizoFeed. So I'll talk about that here in just a second. So my agricultural knowledge compared to you guys, you guys are way above me. But, I do have a love for the mountains. I was born and raised here. I want to stay here. I actually went to the city for my first job out of college as Director of Tourism because, again, I just want to give back to the community. And one of the things I grew up, I thought I could learn everything on the internet. I thought I could get on Google and just find the answers to everything. So when I figured out that you could dig ginseng and make sometimes up to $1,000 a pound from it, I was like, well, I'm just going to start Googling this stuff, and then I'm going to go out and find it. So I went out and found it and dug everything but ginseng. And my uncles looked at me like, you don't know what you're doing. Let us show you. Let the old people show you. I was like, okay. So going up in the mountains throughout life with my elders, with some of my uncles, and them being 60 and 70 years old and just passing me up, and the knowledge that I've gained from them on certain things to look for when looking for ginseng, pointers and different things like that, as they say, that really taught me something that I couldn't learn anywhere else, I don't believe. So I've been fascinated with digging herbs my entire life. Started with ginseng, and it's funny, I started noticing a plant that I always said looked like an elephant ear. I don't know that bloodroot actually looks like an elephant ear, but that's what I think it just reminds me of. So when I started digging bloodroot, I dug a whole wheelbarrow full, and I went and washed it and dried it, and I took it to sell it, and I got $15 out of it. And I dug my hands off for a week for $15, and I was like, well, there's plenty of this stuff. We need to look at other ways we can use this type of plant. So before I get into that, I really wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you guys about the poaching issue with ginseng. I don't think people really understand the magnitude of poaching in Appalachia. With the coal economy gone, the drugs, So when I would go up in the hills with my elders, I would notice one or two plastic bottles and some candy wrappers. You know, that to us meant someone had been up in the mountains poaching. Well, now, last year I didn't dig ginseng because the poaching is so bad that you can't. It's almost not worth my time to go anymore. The people just on my holler alone, there's about 6 people who have already begun harvesting ginseng. And keep in mind, you're not supposed to dig this until the berries are ripe and red. Most of the time, the end of August, 1st of September. And these people are digging everything. 1 prongs, 2 prongs. When I go in the hills now, I break these off so that that at least gives the plant a few more years before they find it. So I contacted the state, or I first contacted the game warden. Okay. Well, a 1 prong is a baby. You're not supposed to touch the 1 prongs. It's like when they first come out of the ground. And a 2 prong branches off. And you'll know when you see ginseng, it's kind of hard to explain. And you're not supposed to harvest those either. So I contacted the game warden, as everyone does, and it turns out that's not what they do. So I contacted the state. Is there anything we can do to stop ginseng poaching? And I would talk to Anna Lucio on the phone for over an hour, and she had sent me some information to give to some of the poachers, and it was brochures and things. And I was like, you know, that's not going to do it. So when I actually dug into it more, there's no enforcement. She said there's 4 people in the whole state of Kentucky that are supposed to enforce ginseng digging. Now, you know what? I think ginseng is a $1 billion export for Kentucky. Why can't we fund a couple more people at least, or maybe 1 person per county, to save a $1 billion export for Kentucky? So who do I call? I mean, these people I know, I don't care to report them, because to me it's part of our heritage. It's disappearing. So I just wanted to take this time to let you guys know that there's something that has to be done. If we don't stop this ginseng poaching, then I don't know that we'll have a market here. It'll be here, but it's few and far between right now. It's to the point to where a lot of my elderly people and friends and family have stopped digging because it's just so bad. So to get into rhizofeed, if any of you guys have heard of what rhizofeed is, we're a poultry feed additive company that was developed here at the University of Pikeville. In my entrepreneurship class with Dr. David Snow, he was pushing idea generation. Is there anything you can do with wild herbs here? And he knew that would have been an interest of mine. So I'd figured out that, again, from earlier days, that bloodroot is so plentiful. There's the supplies here. Actually, on the Nature Surf system, it has an N5 rating. It's very, very plentiful. So what can we do with it? So I took this plant to one of the chemistry professors here at UPike, and I said, what can we do with it? I'd found an article that a German company had been doing some things with bloodroot called phytobiotics. And Dr. Benjamin Clayton, the chemistry professor, actually recruited 3 of the brightest chemistry students that I've ever met in my life to work on this project with me. And they had spent over 1,000 hours last summer, volunteered their summer away from home to spend here conducting research on this plant. And what we came up with was we encapsulated the alkaloid that we extract from bloodroot in inulin, so chicory root, carbohydrate. And actually this evening I'm going to pick up 200 pounds of inulin extract from chicory root from a guy at Walmart. He's bringing it in a truck to me. So since then, we've been working with Alltech. We actually won their Alltech Innovation Challenge, defeating, I like to point out, UK and U of L and all these other schools. And we've also competed internationally. We've won 7 of 8 competitions across North America. We've won over $75,000 in startup cash. We've defeated the top 10 entrepreneurship schools in the world, all from here at UPike. So basically, where we are now that the competitions are over, we're actually beginning our live chicken study at UK's Coldstream facility this fall, actually beginning August 10th, on 700 chickens. And all of this, the protocols and everything was written by our team. And Alltech then approved, and we're moving forward with it. So actually, we're going to begin producing our product for this study within the next month. And that's all I have for you guys. Any questions or anything? Okay. Okay, well, good point. So I've pitched this so many times, I just assume everyone knows. But so currently antibiotics are being used in poultry, but that's being pushed out mostly by larger players like McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and these other companies. So the industry is really being forced to find alternatives, and probiotics is one of the most popular alternatives. But being as expensive as they are, and being that they're live, I mean, it's kind of hard for them to really be consistent, and they're expensive. So that's really the niche we're trying to get into, is replacing, I'm not going to say replace, but supplementing feed. Actually, our product, compared to DuPont's product, DuPont has a Syncra AVI probiotic that increases feed conversion by like 2%. So basically what that is you're converting the feed that the chicken eats to meat more effectively. And Kentucky being one of the largest chicken producers, it was a good place for us to start. And the literature backing our alkaloid claims that we can do that twice as effective as DuPont's award-winning product. So what our product will do is hopefully convert feed to meat more effectively, more so than any other probiotic, while being cheaper than probiotics, and while also regulating the digestive health of the chicken. We actually do have intellectual property too. I forgot to mention that. We have a patent filed on our encapsulation.
So is this product a wild product or something you can grow? Can you grow commercially, or where do you get the product?
So bloodroot being as plentiful as it is, I've just been digging it myself. I can walk 300 foot up on the hill behind my house and dig as much as I'll need at this point.
200 pounds take care of how many chickens for how many days?
Well, that'll really depend on the veterinarian for that particular farm. Our customers really are the feed mills, and they'll really determine how much of that they'll use in the feed. We have spoken with over 25 suppliers in the 5-state area here in Appalachia that can more than supply our needs for the next 5 years if we choose to operate, which of course we hope we can exit to one of the larger companies like Alltech, who can then bring this here and run with it. But we also use inulin, which is an extract from chicory root, and that we've had to import for now. Maybe you guys know something about chicory root. But. So I think UPOC can play a large role in the ag economy. Maybe not so much food economy, but with the botanicals and the other herbs that's in the mountains. Because I've been in the hills my whole life, and I still couldn't tell you everything that's in the mountains. Maybe you guys can help me with that.
Does anybody else have anything to add, Janet? Do you have anything else?
One thing about these people, can y'all hear me all right? That you'll notice they're very vociferous. They like to talk. That's the reason they're here. They are our beginnings for agriculture. When I first started, people would look at me and say, "There's no agriculture in Pike County." First thing I would tell them, you drive down US 23, don't get off 23, and there is no agriculture. You get up on these hills and up the hollows and different areas, there's plenty of agriculture going on here. For instance, and I'll give you this because it shocked me and it shocked everybody I've talked to. 6 years ago, when I first started in Pike County, would you possibly believe there was 3,000 head of cattle in Pike County? There was. It's down to about 1,200 now. But 6 years ago, of course, you all know the economy and the reason everybody sold them off. A lot of it was their wives found out how much they had invested in them cattle, and so a lot of them got shipped down the road. We just have so much potential here. These people are wonderful to work with. I know I do a ginseng workshop every spring. I do the shiitake workshops twice a year, and it is growing. We just need help. We need net ways for the small person to get in, and a lot of your new mini grants and stuff are right up their alley. The quickest way I get somebody to apply for one is I look at them, I smile, I say, "You've been paying taxes for years. Take advantage of it. This is your tax money back. You finally get a little bit coming back to us instead of other parts of the nation. But we have potential here, and this group is looking for help. We have several other areas. We just have so much potential. I just want to see it keep growing. And we appreciate you all being here.
I want to echo what Charlie said about, and George said about people growing what we call the garden. When I was growing up, that was it. If you didn't have a garden, you didn't eat. They wanted to eat something like food stamps or anything like that. And we picked blackberries to get all of our preserves. And there are still people that do that, but not as much as they used to. Anybody else got any contribution they want to make? John, you turn it back over to you then, I guess. Who? Kitty, you want to?
Just one thing that we haven't.
Hold on just a minute.
We haven't really discussed. I'm not a farmer. I have a salad garden, and I'm a consumer. You can ask my husband. And so I really, really like the farmer's market. But many of you may or may not know that we have a lot of diabetes here in this area. My daughter's a type 1. And it's so important what we are eating. And I think that with the farmer's market and the emphasis on good, nutritious food, we could really change that, where people aren't just bulking up on carbs all day, and they find out what really good food tastes like. And I just am here to support the farmer's market. I said, I can't sing, but I can clap for the ones who can. So I'm a clapper for the farmer's market also. But I think people are becoming more and more interested in what they're putting on their plate and in their bellies. And I would much rather buy duck eggs from Charlie than Eggland's Best from Food City. Nothing against Food City at all. But I know where they come from. I know that it helps support my neighborhood, my community, and whatever goes to these farmers is going to go, maybe somebody needs a lawyer, they can afford to get one. So it's good for everybody. And I think we just haven't seen the potential or recognized the potential. And God love Joyce for shaking our heads over and over. And I have to say, too, one thing I know going on and on, our extension service is awesome. Suzanne is just amazing. Leslie Workman. I've made bread, which I never thought I would make bread. And it was good. It was really good. They have classes in so many things, and they encourage you to go back home and eat correctly and go dig in the dirt a little bit. It's amazing how good your own tomatoes taste. There's nothing like them. And how they sell them for that. After you grow a few vegetables, you go to the farmer's market or someplace. How do they sell that for $1? I know the work that goes into it. So it's a bargain, what we're getting. And it's good for us also. So my background is kind of in marketing, and so that's where I come in, because I can talk about it. So, but thank you to everybody here, and I've really learned a lot. So I'll be glad to tell anybody about it.
Thanks, Kitty. Anybody else want to make a contribution, conversation? Give Joyce a microphone. Give Joyce another microphone there.
Quick one, I promise.
I grew up in Boone County, and in Boone County, Kentucky, we did not do anything without talking to the extension agent. We did not step foot in the garden. Something that you all need to understand, Pike County does not have an FFA program. We do not have a county fair. When you look at agriculture, this is what you're looking at. So we need help getting it. For our beginning farmers, we are starting square one. No FFA, no county fair. For me, when I came here, there was major culture shock on many ways, but that was the biggest. No FFA, no county fair. So y'all think about that.
Governor, we really appreciate the comments and the feedback this morning. Kathy and Joyce, you all may become our poster children for our new and beginning farmer program. Secretary Vilsack has stressed us, and it is a huge initiative to redefine how we do things in the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's important in Kentucky and our other states across the nation that we have our large dairies and our large grain operations and all those aspects of agriculture. But as well, it's equally as important that we have our small growers, and we're trying to redefine within ourselves how we address that. We've actually, in Kentucky, over the last 11 years, lost 1 million acres of agricultural land to development. We were farming 11 years ago 14 million acres in this state. We're farming just about 13 million acres now. Still over half the state is agricultural land. We are a very rural state, and for agriculture to grow, like I say, while it's important to have our large operations, we've also got to redefine ourselves, as you all said, think outside the box, and tailor as well our programs to smaller operations. One thing I would ask, and if you're not, is I would highly encourage, if you're not, your involvement in SOAR, because the agriculture, from my involvement in that at this point, has been a huge initiative, because agriculture was in this region long before we mined coal, and the economy in the region survived on agriculture. And I applaud Governor Patton and former Governor Beshear and Congressman Rogers on their work and leadership on the SOAR initiative. As well, this area is what we call our strike force region, where we target more rural areas where the economy has been hit harder. I was over 2 years ago over our strike force effort, and I had an opportunity with Secretary Vilsack's office to tour parts of central Appalachia. We were in parts of eastern Kentucky, Virginia, actually southwestern Virginia, East Tennessee, and West Virginia. And I had the opportunity to visit Appalachian Sustainable Development over across the mountain in Virginia. And I was really impressed with that. I thought, wow, this could be a great thing for my home area, to be able to have that facility like they do over in Virginia, where the smaller local growers can bring their fruits and vegetables in, and they actually go from there to Bristol and Johnson City and Kingsport and other areas, not only to local restaurants, but they're going into things like Ingles and Kroger and Fresh Market, which is a huge deal. So there is truly potential here. Some of the things that we talked about this morning, we don't necessarily have authority over, but as well, the Secretary has challenged us to take those things. You're poaching on the ginseng, and when I was a kid in these mountains, I used to follow my grandfather around and go singing with him. And I know my colleagues from not here probably don't know what I'm talking about, but while we don't specifically deal with that, the Secretary has challenged us to bring people to the table, whether from USDA or state partners, whether it maybe be Fish and Wildlife Resources or the Governor's Office or the Kentucky Department of Agriculture, or whomever the appropriate parties, but to bring the different people together to talk about these issues and facilitate a discussion of where we can help. This has been very beneficial to us today. We're looking very forward to this afternoon and tomorrow, the farm visits. And I actually, a few years ago, had a couple people on our team at the Farm Service Agency when I was talking about agriculture in eastern Kentucky, and they said there is no agriculture in eastern Kentucky. And I said, yes, but there is. And I said, there are cattle operations on reclaimed strip mines. I said, they're not participating maybe in our programs, but they're there, and we need to reach out to them. Something I want to quickly do, we've got some important members of our team here that did not get introduced, and I want to just quickly recognize them. Debbie Wakefield out of Springfield, she's out of our Lexington office. Debbie is our administrative officer, and she's one of the two people from our executive and administrative team that actually run the day-to-day of our operation here in Kentucky. For our local officials, when she's not doing that, she moonlights as the mayor of the city of Springfield, Kentucky. Chris Cantrell is out of West Liberty. He's our farm loan manager. Janelle Gardner is our acting farm programs chief, and she is out of Pendleton County. David Cash, who made some comments. David is out of Jackson and West Liberty as our acting county executive director. Jason Isaac is from Menifee County, lives in Moorhead, and his in-laws live in Pikeville. He's our district director and covers the entire eastern part and southeastern part of the state. Mike Hoyt, our farm loan chief over our farm loan program for the state, out of Lexington, and he comes from the Bowling Green area, so important members of the team. But David, do you have anything for any members of the state committee and comments you all, Joe, Carrie, you all would like to add? We very much appreciate the forum, Governor, and the opportunity this morning.